Hi, my name is Logan French. I'm an independent Australian comic book creator, and I'm really excited to bring my latest title to Kickstarter. Amphibia Noir is a gritty, violent story that follows an offbeat trio of specialists as they unravel a tangled basket of lies, wedging themselves in a conspiracy deeply rooted in the society they live in. What gets me so excited about this title is because it introduces some genre and storytelling ideals that don't normally go hand in hand. Stuff that I really love to play with and work on. Blending pulpy, violent grit with slice of life dialogue, offbeat dark humour, and a unique slang that brings a visceral flavour to the storytelling world. So I really hope you'll back this title because I loved creating it, so you would love reading it. Thank you for taking the time to read through and watch this video. Well, not read through. Why would you read through this video? Read through the Kickstarter, watch this video, and I'd really love it if you'd back the project. Thank you.
Hey gang, how are we all going? Thanks for joining in tonight to the launch party for Amphibia Noir. This is pretty exciting. We've been working around the clock to get this up and running with Logan, who has helmed this project since the beginning. And we're now live. This morning we went to live via Kickstarter. But without ado, I'm going to bring Logan on board to talk about this project and a little bit more about Amphibia Noir. Logan, thanks for joining in, mate. You're on mute, buddy. There we go.
What? Okay.
Gotcha. It's all good. It's all
Great
good.
start.
How you doing, mate?
Oh, yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Very excited, actually.
Yeah,
insanely humbled. It's been fantastic. This whole process.
It's been huge. Like when we start talking about this project, would have been
like a year ago, I reckon.
It would have been
possibly more.
Well, I mean, but to have it finally come to fruition on Kickstarter, especially, is awesome. And today watching it, kick along as well as it has is exciting. I'm really happy about that, and it is a humble experience working alongside you and watching this project kind of come to life. From our I think our early talks were in 2020 when we started talking about like an idea of No, I don't think it was even Amphibian Noir. I think this was more of just an idea of just bringing you on to be a part of the Halftone Productions label, and here we are now, which is exciting. How do you feel about it all? Because like I said, it's been a huge couple of years getting this all together.
It's interesting to see it all come together. I think the hardest part is exposing it to people, and just as creators always are, very nervous about what people are going to say, how it's going to turn out, and whether they're going to like it or not. I love this world. I really do, and I think it's definitely something people are going to enjoy more and more, especially as the years go on. The title that we have on Kickstarter at the moment is a very good step into the characters. and that's an important part for me. And even though the world is um, very unusual, I want to ground the characters really, really well and make them relatable. That's sort of something I'm sort of tipping towards quite heavily. I'm a big fan of characters that you can understand or you can see yourself as and attach yourself to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's any great storytelling is that you can, you're a creator, is bouncing it off something that it's relatable to them, but hopefully the audience that read it and enjoy it, they're the ones that will become a bit more excited about it, probably more than what we do as creators, working with these characters all the time. But as readers, they get that experience and the enjoyment and connections, and I guess that's part of the process of what we do as comic book creators, to be able to experience that as well at a convention or via social media, is we get to have that connection with them, thanking us for the work that we've done, and getting excited by the work that we're creating, which gives us a bit of a buzz as well, which is great.
Huge buzz. Really,
Yeah.
that's I'm not even going to say that that's the whole purpose why we do things. It's not entirely the case. A lot
No.
of the time we're creating pretty much for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that people are connecting, I know they're connecting to the characters, but those characters are us. And when people connect with them, it's an absolute delight to know that other people are in the same boat or have the same ideals or understandings.
Mm.
It's a really great connectivity between people.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, I think with yours especially is that it's not. I wouldn't say it's a fresh idea, because it's an idea that you had a while back. And for anyone who is new to Amphibia Noir, it started off as a zine. And do you want to give us a bit of an idea about that and how that even started? Because from a concept of being a zine now to a fully fledged trade paperback like we've got here today.
Yeah, that was quite the journey of sorts. So the zine that I produced was designed as a scene from a film. Um, I didn't want to create something that had a start, middle, or an end. I wanted to create something that was smack bang in the middle. There was no start or end. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to create was it? It's like 12 pages, I think. 12
12 pages.
pages
Yep.
of of two characters and dialogue, and with those simple 12 pages, you understand what's happening before and
Yep.
after. Um, it was that dynamic environment that really drew me to the world and the
Yep.
storytelling that I started with that zine, and it it just blew up from there. I fell in love with the characters. They
Yep.
did become a part of me quite heavily, and I just started going. The pencil moved itself. Really, it just started and kept going. It's hard
And
to
it still
describe.
is.
Yeah. It's hard to describe because it was one of those flair moments, and as creators we struggle and strive and try and find those moments that help push us forwards or that we connect to on some kind of level. And these characters they've just attached to me, and I love pushing them forwards and making them do things or make them telling me what they're doing. That's another perspective as well. They're often there's often points where I'm rolling or sketching through pages, and I don't know what's coming the next page, or they're saying something that I'm completely not expecting for them to say. It's just a bit of an unusual experience, I guess, or
Well,
something
yeah.
difficult to
I think
understand.
that's definitely the case. And watching you work on this as well, with my experience with working with Brad on Super RBA, and my own experience with creating comics and working with other people on their comics, um, is that everyone's got their own process. I found that my process is very different to the likes of yours. My writing is a different process to what it is with Brad's. more recently I worked with Tim Styles on Gorilla My
Yeah.
Dreams, and I'm sure it's the same for him, but my process is different than what he does, and I think we both know that now because we've both worked on similar projects together and we've seen each other's scripts. The other thing was that with you watching you create this, I mean, we've gone from a zine now to a 48 page flared up trade paperback graphic novel, which is huge. But then I think on top of that, I've thrown in the ambition of making this colored as well. So to kind of see that all come together like it has, I know you had your qualms about the coloured version to begin with, but to watch you just kind of leap into it like you have is phenomenal. It's been a buzz for me as someone
Yeah.
working with you on this project to see you kind of just pick that up and run with it.
It was I didn't think of it at the time. This thing was designed, purely as black and white.
Yeah.
But when I did those few pages in color, I'm just like, this brings a sense of reality to the world, which is often what color does, and it helps me ground the work in maybe a time or a place or a feeling that you wouldn't have been able to do in black and white.
No, and I think that's the kind of thing I saw when you were working on another project for me, and you were doing some coloring work, and I saw that work with mine, and I was like, okay, that gives it a whole other life beyond being colored, beyond being black and white. So that's why I had to think about it. And we did tease the idea of doing some coloring pages for it, but it was just like, we'll see how it looks. And I toyed with the idea, and I'm like, no, you've got the right color palette to use within this story that you're using on the project that I had you working on. So I was kind of like, well, let's try and merge them together, and let's see how that looks. And you threw yourself at that right then and there, and that's, to me, it was just like, okay, he's dedicated to doing this. Let's do it. And I basically, honestly, I loved it when I first saw it. I saw that page. I think you gave me like 3 or 4 pages, and as soon as I saw them,
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, if you're happy to do it, I know it's a lot of extra work on top of the books that you've been working on. I was like, let's do it. Let's just jump in and get it done. So to watch you kind of take that on board and do it it's been a rewarding experience for me alone.
It's been a new experience for me. I often don't work in color. I primarily work in black and white.
Yeah.
But shifting over to color, I feel like it's brought a lot of influences over for me from other types of work and graphical work that's I've seen in the past. So it's been a great experience, and I feel like by doing this, we're going to be expand the audience. People are going to recognize color a lot more so than black and white, but they'll get a sense of feel as well and understanding, because as you know, I like to use colors to express a certain scenario or a situation. So instead of leaving a background, just your standard background color, I'm going to throw just one bold color in the background to really sort of punch out the character or get the expression. It's been a ton of fun.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think you've taken it on board. Every critique or every point that I've made, let's do this. You've kind of you've taken it and just gone with it, and that to me is fun as as a producer and watching you do this. Like that, and again, it's rewarding in itself. So I've had an absolute blast working on this with you, and it speaks for itself. And we'll jump into it shortly, and we'll actually look at some of the pages that you've gone ahead and coloured, so that people can understand what the project is in itself.
Yes.
But yeah, like honestly, man, it's been nearly 2 years in the making of this to come together. Now we're doing it. Like, for anyone who's watching, the Kickstarter went live this morning. We're currently sitting on close to 20%, which is awesome. First, I think we're sitting at what 12 hours, so we're still got another first 12 hours in our first day. So, fingers crossed we can get to the 25% mark, which is always awesome. So look, it's been a really rewarding day, exhausting as always. Kickstarters always are exhausting. As you know, we've done a few of them.
Yeah.
Anyone who's familiar with Halftone Productions, we do a few of them throughout the year. Um, but Logan, for you, how's it been? This is your first Kickstarter project. How has that experience been with you and with me
Yeah.
nagging you in the background?
No, look, that's fine. I've been checking my phone every 15 minutes. It's so weird. I'm not going to say that every person that backs this project is, justifying what I did or what people are going to read, but it's nice to have the recognition. A friend of mine said, for every person that backs this project, that's them standing in front of you, wanting your product.
Yep.
Whether that's 8 people in front of you, whether that's 30 people in front of you, whether that's, 100 people in front of you. That's a lot of people. I know that on a global scale, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's an enormous amount of people for us to expect to take our work on board and love it and recommend it to other people. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the great thing about Kickstarter is that you're not really determined by a certain area of the world that you live in. You can reach a larger audience all around the world, and we've experienced that with the last 16 campaigns that we've run from Kickstarter's aspect. That those 16 campaigns have got a larger reach than what the likelihood of my website, or sorry, the Halftone Productions website would have to that audience. So there's a great way of looking at it, and I always do say this to anyone who's a creator, is that Kickstarter is more than just a crowdfunding tool, and you kind of need to look beyond being crowdfunding. It's a way of your work reaching a larger audience that you wouldn't normally have. So, and it's been adapted and received well within the comics community over the last, I think 10 years they've been going for now, maybe longer. Sorry
Thereabouts.
if I've stuffed that up, but I've been using it for 8 years, and I as a backer before I became a punter in the actual game of it. So that in itself is quite interesting. So it's a whole new world for you, Logan. I mean, I kind of thrive for it. It's the thrill of the chase, I think, now for me. But having you kind of come on board and do it, and being a part of it as well. Like, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in the lead up. Like, I basically, for a month we've been working on the actual campaign and promoting it on social media networks, and the effort. I think it's with our last campaign, which was the apparition part 2. That was 3 months of campaigning, more or less. There was a month beforehand. There's the lead up to it with the creating all the content that goes into the Kickstarter, and then there's the actual campaign itself. So the campaign itself is pretty full on too, like the podcast that you do, the live streams that you appear on, media releases, talking to people about it, in networking on social media. So it's a huge effort. It's not for the faint of heart at all. And if you think it is, then you got a bit of a shock coming. But it really is the thrill of the chase. And what we'll do is we'll actually jump into the Kickstarter now. We'll give everyone a bit of a look at it, at the awesome work that you've got here. So we've already watched the video this evening, but what you can see here, I'll just make it a bit bigger because it's you've got the awesome artwork for the cover, and then yours truly is sitting there as well, which was fun to be able to do, another variant cover. Always enjoy doing that. But like, as soon as you showed me that cover, man, I was on board. I was like, this is
ready
going to be
for
great. Yeah, bloody, violent, ultra violent. It's exactly what it's advertising, and I think that's something fun to bring towards our library or our catalogue of comics. We don't really have anything that's ultra violent like this. and that's why I think I really enjoyed when you pitched it to me, and when I read the first issue basically before we turned it into a trade. I think you gave me a couple of options for this, didn't you? For the cover originally, it was like 4 options for the cover.
Yeah, I had about
thumbnails,
4 sketches for it, which all involved a ton of red.
Yes.
That's it is a violent comic. There's no doubt about it. I have definitely employed a lot of violence in there, but it is purpose driven. So it's not senseless violence. The violence is there for a reason. And it does make a lot more sense the further down the track we go.
Yeah.
So,
and, I guess it's the old question of judging a book by its cover, and I've always gone by the fact that people do actually, after doing so many conventions over the last 6 years, 7 years now, it's really, people really do judge a book by its cover. So it's important that we actually make a cover that really pops out and people are drawn to, like a moth to a flame. So yeah, there's 2 options there for you to check out if you're interested in backing this. But I mean, like, scroll down, you've got a bit more information on the actual the comic itself, but then the artwork. And then again, I go back to it being coloured now. Now, you had a few pin-ups that you'd done that were already speaking wonders when I first was attracted to the colour of the story, and I was like, all right, now I think this is the one that was like, all right, let's see it in colour. Let's see what we can do, because I reckon this was just, that's where it was starting to really speak to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you go to the Kickstarter, there's heaps of descriptions on what this is about. It is a 48-page trade or graphic novel. It is perfect bound. It's the first time that we've ever done a trade paperback for one of our releases. It's the first time it's going straight to that format. We're trying something different this time around. This story is it is fast paced. It is to the bone. I think that's where it kind of falls in that place and category for being a graphic novel rather than a single floppy style series. So
I'll be honest. I've read through it like thousands of times, but reading back through it, the 48 pages still feel quick. And you're right, it's paced to feel, push you from panel to panel to page, almost eagerly anticipating the what's happening next.
Yes, and that comes down to good storytelling. I believe that if you feel like you feel like you only just started reading it and the story's nearly over, then you've been fully invested in what's going on, and it means you've enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
If you feel like a comic's even if a floppy is going too long, there's a possibility you're not enjoying it. Depending on what style your comics you're into. So yeah, if you're new to this, well, you will be new to this. I say that like everyone knows what this is, but realistically, I've read it that many times. I feel like I know it. I already know it.
It's been thrown at you for like 6 months, and you feel like everybody's already read it.
But it's definitely. I do see a lot of Sin City breeds through it, and so does Judge. I do see Judge Dredd. I was thinking about it this afternoon when we were talking about it, and there's just the humor in it. It's very the tick, I find. I don't think we really actually talked about this, but there's that tinge of immaturity and humor to it that I find it's like the tick almost. And I was thinking about all this afternoon. I was like, there's that. I don't know why I didn't pick up on it sooner.
And you're right. Something else, a title that came up recently that I thought, yeah, that's pretty similar. The Mask. It's got a very similar style and level of violence. Even though The Mask, a lot of the violence is nonsensical, the humor and the pace, I guess, is what that's all about there. So it's a title that's definitely accumulating a lot of my influences over the years. My love for stupid, ridiculous humor, growing up on Monty Python and a lot of English humor as well.
I guess
I
that
just,
speaks about it. It kind of speaks. Sorry, just to cut you off there, but it kind of
yeah,
speaks to the time that I guess both of us grew up in the '90s, and the influence of the '90s was very much that kind of wacky comic book style cartoon storytelling. So the
mm,
Mask, the Tick, um, there was the likes of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac always comes to mind for me because it's
yeah.
very it's fucked basically. The storytelling, it's just fucking grotesque, and if you're not accustomed to that kind of storytelling, then you'll hate it. But if you understand Jonah's work, then you'll love it. Another one comes to mind is Scud the Disposable Assassin. I mean, that's brutal and violent. I mean, it's Dan Harmon who is, famous for Rick and
Yeah,
Morty. So it's very much, that kind of humor that came through in the '90s with the comic books. It probably wouldn't have seen. I mean, there was humor in the '80s. There was definitely, comical comics in the '80s and the '70s and even the '60s for that matter. But nothing like we got in the '90s where it was pulp,
no, that's
violent,
right.
but it was just sometimes unnecessary violence, but it was enjoyable and ridiculous.
I think the '90s were that point where they go, oh, that's, yeah, we can put this in a comic book, and
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
will buy it. So that's
There was
at
no
that
fucks
point. It's
given.
just, yeah, yeah. And they had, the industry was on the brink of death almost at that point. And I think that change in pace and
Mm,
shifting from that, advertising to under 15-year-olds to shifting to, over 20s,
mm.
really made that huge difference in both storytelling and the content you were getting and how big the market got after that, because it just
Exactly. Yeah, it
smashed along.
exploded. So I definitely think this series does lend itself to that very much so, and that's why I think I gravitate to the humor from it, from being that kind of reading those comics back in the day.
Yes.
But yeah, like I mean, this is the page preview. Now we give you 6 pages of the book to read. But I mean, the first 4 panels. I mean, it's just that kind of humor. It's that insane. It's a mother joke. I mean, that to me just if I didn't know this series and I was coming on to buy it, I'd be sold on it straight away.
Yeah, it's always a good start to a comic with the joke. I think
Yeah.
um, making light of a very serious
Mm.
environment really depicts what the character's like as well.
Yeah.
Some characters will take it very seriously, others will
Mm.
joke. I mean, you look at Deadpool and stuff like that. The humor industry is changing. People are understanding that there's layers to
Yeah.
how people say things and the
Mm.
reactions they're
Mm.
expecting.
Yeah.
Um, and our
But yeah,
main character is very much that. He just says stuff to piss people off. Really, it's
yeah, absolutely. No, and
yeah,
it just shines through it. Um, but I mean, going through the pages here, and we'll talk about the color again. The color again, it speaks wonders for the story as well. Like it was phenomenal in black and white, but seeing it in color just gives it that breath of life. That's just like it really does hit you in the face with the storytelling that you're conveying across with this.
does
Um,
definitely give it a bit of life.
all of the releases on Halftone Productions have been black and white, and more recently we've been looking at doing some more coloured stories within our releases, and you know, it is refreshing to see it after so long of doing black and white, personally, and having this now as our first, not only our first graphic novel, but as also being the first coloured comic that we're going to be doing. Um, that's exciting in itself. And I hope that a lot of people who have supported the comics from all our other titles hopefully will jump onto this and check it out, because it definitely is a whole new realm for all of us. And so you're getting a bit of a tease at what the story is. It's always good to give the readers a bit of an idea of what they're going to be supporting. We've got the characters here, the primary three. we're gonna see them littered throughout the first story, which is it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah.
And then we jump into our rewards. Now we've got some really cool stuff on offer for this one. So yeah, actually I realised that today we've made an error on the tier one. With tier one being the digital edition, you'll actually receive. I think it was how many other was it 6 other
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
7, 6 or you'll receive 6 or 7 of
7.
Logan's
Yeah.
7 of Logan's other zine releases. They'll be digitally transferred to you along with Amphibia Noir Part 1. So $9, it's a pretty cool deal. And by looks for it, a lot of people have taken that up so far. So that's exciting to have that bundle there. I will have to fix that up tomorrow, actually, come to think of it, to make sure that people understand that. Also, with that, you've got the second tier, which is the actual graphic novel itself. And you do receive the digital edition of Amphibia Noir too, if you like to keep your book in a pristine condition. But you've got an option of both Logan's cover and the Kickstarter exclusive, drawn by yours truly, to choose from there. Again, this one is another kick-ass one too. You've got the original zine that you'll receive as well, the 12-page zine as Logan created many moons ago, and then you've got a choice of both cover, whichever cover you want, and plus the digital edition too. This is my favourite. That I'm always a sucker when it comes. And people who are familiar with what we do at Halftone Productions, we do a lot of enamel pins, so it's without ado we have to make sure that Logan gets an enamel pin for Amphibia Noir. So we've got the Amphibia Noir limited edition enamel pin, and then you've got a choice of the 2 covers with that, and you get a digital comic of Amphibia Noir. Further down, we've got it's basically the Logan French special. You get all of his zines, and you also get your copy of Amphibia Noir. So you're getting basically all of his releases right there, which is really exciting. Further down, we have the digital Halftone Productions bundle. So here, if you're new to Halftone Productions, you will get an exclusive bundle of digital comics, which, whoa, what happened there? Whoop, we've lost it. Wait, there we go.
No.
The mouse has gone nuts. You'll get all of the Super RBA series. You'll get Rise of the Talking Bread, which you feature on that, Logan. You've got a story in there too.
I do indeed.
The Apparition, Part 1, and then the series of In Purgatory, which actually, again, Logan, you feature in...
I'm actually... I'm in all those titles.
4. You are actually. And sorry, Apparition, you did a cover for too, so
yeah.
People may recognise Logan's work in those releases. Further down, this is basically the entire bundle you'll receive here. Is you'll get both covers, so my variant and Logan's cover. You'll get the Amphibia Noir script, which we're working on at the moment to convert into a script format. God help Brad. Then we've got the zine comic from the original concept, and then the enamel pin as well. Tier 8, we've got so this is basically the printed version of the Halftone Productions bundle. So you'll get the majority of the collection of titles from there. We actually don't. The Talking Bread is out of print now, which was I think we sold out of those last year, so they're no longer in print now. But you will get the Rise of the Talking Bread, Super RBA 1 to 4, and In Purgatory 1 to 6, plus the Apparition Part 1 and Amphibia Noir Book 1. And then further down, well, finally, this is the juicy one. This one you get basically all of the stuff that we've got for Amphibia Noir, which is the pin, the zine, the script, and the comic, and you'll get a illustration from Amphibia Noir from Logan. So Logan will be drawing a personalised illustration of one of the characters from Amphibia Noir, which is really exciting. So There's not too many options. We didn't want to saturate it. There are add-ons, so if you wanted to add on another book or an extra pin for another person that would be interested in it, then there's those options there. But we've kept it pretty simple for this one. We don't want to overcomplicate it and kind of make it too much. So like we got add-ons there. Stretch goals, we have some awesome ideas for some stretch goals, but we're not going to do much in that at the moment. We're going to kind of focus on getting the campaign funded, which is our first and foremost priority at this stage. And then we've got the team. So there's yourself, me, and we've got Brad from the Super RBA release title. We're all working on that. Been working furiously over the last couple of months to get that all organised, which has been great. And then just a bit of an idea of timeline and how it'll all come together. Funding, we do a breakdown on all our campaigns for funding. We want to make sure that we've got an idea of how it all works and how your money's being spent, because it is important. We don't rip people off. We want to make sure that we're doing honest work here on Kickstarter. This is a great program to use. Shipping breakdown and how it all works, and then just some other tips and tricks that we utilize with Kickstarter and how we run our business. And then there's a bit more of the fan out there. So yeah, that's basically a breakdown of the whole Kickstarter campaign and how it's all been put together, running, a little bit behind the scenes. You get to read the first 6 pages of the series. So it gives you an idea of the kind of story you're in for. But it's been a real delight to bring this together. So if you're definitely interested in it, go and check it out. There's a link in the comments section. You can go and check it out on Kickstarter. It's got 29 days left. We're sitting on 20% at the moment after the first 12 hours, which is really great. Well, no, it's more than that now. It's 14 hours. But, who's counting? So definitely, if you want to go check that out, go hit the link, go and check it out. We do appreciate any support that we can get for this campaign. It's been an absolute delight bringing it together. But I think that's all we've got time for tonight. We won't take up too much more of Logan's time and your time. But Logan, is there anything you wanted to add before we wrap up tonight?
I would really appreciate it if everyone could back my Kickstarter, please. Thank you, and share. I think that's a pretty important part. If you can share the Kickstarter with as many people as you can, because that will expose as many people as we can to the Kickstarter. And a great story, is something that I know everybody who picks it up is going to love. They're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's you put as much of yourself into something like this, and people do appreciate it. I find so. So yes, that's that's me.
Awesome. There you go, guys. Well, look, it's been great to be able to talk to you all tonight about this campaign and give you a bit more insight into the release of Amphibia Noir. It's been a big process in bringing us together, so the support for this will be absolutely appreciated, and you will get something in return for it. You'll get a kick-ass comic that Logan has been working a long time on, and it's now come to fruition. But with that said, it's time to wrap this up. Thank you again for joining into Halftone Productions Presents. Logan is on another podcast called Read This Way every second Wednesday of the month.
All about
on
manga and
YouTube
anime
channel, and on our Twitch page, and then on our Facebook page as well. So they all follow through there. He's joined by Brad, who is the creator of Super RBA, but they are doing Read This Way, which is really exciting manga and anime. So for anyone that's interested in that, go and check that one out. But until then, we'll be back again, hopefully next month, with another episode of Halftone Productions Presents. Again, thank you, Logan, for joining in, and thank you, everyone, for checking out this campaign. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.